Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of From a Certain Point Askew. This is the feel-good podcast of the year right here, and that's just a tease, foreshadowing. You're going to hear what that's all about in just a minute. I am your host, the Angry Ginger, broadcasting live from inside Wookie Poo Studios. I'm not alone, though, so please allow me to introduce your favorite wretched scum, scoundrels, and smugglers. Although we're only introducing two this week, so you guys pick which ones you want to be. Neighbor Cole from Corellia.
Do I have to be the bad guy? Wretched scum and smuggler or scoundrel?
You can be a scum, you can be a scoundrel, or you can be a smuggler.
You know, I had a funny epiphany the other day with the word smuggler. And I actually put this on one of my dating profiles to show everybody how big of a nerd I am.
Okay. Which one? The one that does the least amount of traffic?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
So I was trying to put in the world's best snuggler on my dating profile and changed to smuggler.
Oh.
And I auto-corrected and accidentally posted that. So then I had to redact it.
Did you laugh?
I said, I'd like to apologize to Han Solo for claiming your title of world's best smuggler. I meant to say snuggler. I never meant to do no harm, no foul. Anyways, I am the biggest geek you know, Neighbor Cole. Thanks for having me on the show.
I'm not arguing that now.
Yeah, okay. Said to go off the rails there for a little bit, but I'm not alone as well. We've got a third micer coming in hot on the Skype lines. We've got Matt from the planet of Mustafar. Hey, Matt.
How you guys doing? I want to say Happy New Year. 2020 was obviously a tough year, but not all bad things happened in 2020 because it brought the three of us together to do this lovely podcast. I'm appreciative of that.
That's true.
Very, very true. Yeah.
I was going to say, if you were to celebrate on any of these Star Wars planets, let's say it's the end of the movie, wow, fucking fireworks, everything, what planet would it be?
I hate to go back to Coruscant, but Coruscant's probably got the best bars.
I think so. I think you have the best bars. Probably the best. I mean, those fireworks go on for about 12 days.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd hoping to be on Alderaan. Just trying to make a joke. Hoping to be on Alderaan when the big light show comes.
It's really blowing up. Wait a minute.
Wow, look at the sky. It's really pretty.
You'd be the sole survivor like Angel Leia.
Just trying to
flying through space.
I'd be doing the drive-by. I'd see it happen, and then I'd get the tattoo like Cara Dune on my little prison tat on my eyebrow.
Well, hopefully we have bigger and better things coming in 2021 for the show. Speaking of the show, if you'd like to find our show online on the internet, it is FromACertainPointAskew.com. Reach out to us on Twitter at FACPApod, and you can email the show at FACPApod@gmail.com. And before we get started, we mentioned the Darksaber situation last week.
Yeah.
And how a rural farm boy, I have so much trouble saying that. A rural farm boy.
It's like Aurora. What is that? The name of an X-Men character, right?
Aurora
Gray?
Aurora
Gray? I don't know.
Something?
Go ahead.
Anyway, that guy was so kind as to reach out to offer up the saber to another listener. And that was Blue Leader. So talked to Blue Leader this past week, was very excited to hear that news and is just so elated. So I talked to Dave, and Dave sent the saber off, and I believe Blue Leader should be receiving it sometime this week.
That's so crazy.
Congratulations. Congratulations again to Blue Leader, and really awesome job by a rural farm boy.
That's
and
right.
He requested some stickers, so I sent him some stickers.
All right. Hey, you know what? That's the feel-good story of the year right there. This Star Wars podcast changes lives.
That's right.
The generosity is unparalleled. That's awesome.
What if a rural farm boy is Blue Leader's father?
Oh man, and they don't know. He doesn't know that.
What if he actually cuts off his hand with Dave's dark saber? And it really makes it an interesting turn of events.
A lot of symbolism happening over here.
Wow.
No, I think that's awesome. I'm glad that I have. Hey, when because they reached out to the Factbook account. So was he listening? Did he hear his name, or did you reach out to him like, "Hey, you won the saber"?
I made some sort of kind of comment, but not totally telling him what happened. And then he listened the next day and was like, "Oh my God!"
Okay.
So I don't know if we were in the queue for later or what, but I just thought, you know what, let's expedite this a little bit. So I said, "Let me know what you think of our latest episode." That's all I said.
He better be a listener for life.
And a lesbian. Moral of the story: it pays good to listen
to discover
quickly.
That's right. You might get called out and picked out by someone else who wins and bequeaths you.
Right.
A rural farm boy could be just out there churning butter or milking cows and decide to himself, you know what? I'm going to be generous as all shit. I'm giving away the back 40 acres. I'm going to give it away.
All right, on the show today, we have no episode of The Mandalorian, which is sad. It's really sad. So behind the scenes, we're discussing what we're going to do exactly, to keep the show kind of going. So we've got a few things in the making. We'll fill you in on that in a bit. But right now, let's fill you in on the fact that there is going to be a question of the week. We've got a little bit of news. We are going to do a look back on The Mandalorian this year, season 2. And then Maul's bag is empty. So no Darksaber, no emails.
Come on, people.
Man.
I mean, it also it doesn't help the fact that there's no new show going on right now for them to chime in on. But
there's a
please
whole new
send
podcast.
us your questions.
Yeah. When you go back and you start watching anything Star Wars, you can always email the show. We'd love to read your email. We can share. You know what? And I'm sure you're going to have questions, but play along with us. Whatever we watch, you can watch, and then we can have discussions. This is a complete Star Wars podcast. And then we've got a Fact Puff Factoid at the end of the show. So let's get into this. Cole, you wrote it, so you ask it.
Okay, question of the week for all you geeks, nerds, and Star Wars aficionados. If you could kill, and I mean kill, one character from season 1 or 2 of The Mandalorian, who would it be? How would you kill them? And why? And Matt, we already know your answer. So
Can I kill him again?
Yeah.
Can I go out and piss all over his ashes, Toro Calican?
Yeah, I think you need to pick a new person this time.
Okay, give me a minute then.
Let
You guys go ahead.
Let Matt go last. Then.
Yeah.
Do you have someone in mind?
Yeah, I'm gonna ruin the show right here.
You say it, and I will unfriend you. I'll quit the show.
I'm gonna quit. I'm sorry. I'm gonna kill Grogu by eating him.
Oh no!
Give him a taste of his own medicine,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Fucking door opens up. Luke's walking out, and I've got baby Yoda's feet just hanging out of my mouth. What? I didn't know you were coming.
Is it like a chocolate bunny to eat the ears first, or
Exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna eat him on Easter.
I dare to say someone would come after you and pull the old lightsaber to the stomach tauntaun move to get him out of there alive. So
he'll just go down the gullet. They'll cut him right out. I die. He crawls out.
No one's gonna let you.
So it's gonna be
kill
like a
Baby
scene
Yoda.
from Alien.
Chest burster type of a move.
Yeah.
He just comes out eating what you had for lunch.
See, right now the directors of season 2 are all like, bravo, 70s pull, because it's Jaws. We've talked about all the movies they pulled from. Now we've gone full circle. No, I think like, oh, you said kill. I went to eat, and then immediately I was going to go to perverted and find out like which chick would I eat. Nope, never mind. Moving on.
skip right over that one.
So for me, if I could kill one character, it definitely would have to be the most pointless character in the entire season and that caused the most mayhem and panic. It'd be the Frog Lady, right?
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
So you're going to eat her.
I'm not going to eat her. No, the way I was going to kill her, it does have some sort of consumption. I was going to feed her to Baby Yoda in pieces. Just hack her up and then feed her to Baby Yoda.
Just like you cut little morsels.
Yeah.
Just feed them every once in a while, like
hors
little
d'oeuvres,
snacks.
little frog legs,
Okay.
if you will.
Well, this should be the last.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just hated her. I thought she was a pointless character. She caused all sorts of trouble. She basically invoked an entire planet of ice spiders because she decided to go jacuzziing while the fucking...
Hey, she had to relax. She don't know how to fix a ship. She's like, I'll be over here if you need me.
Just stop getting everybody
woman.
Stop getting everyone into trouble.
Speaking of which, you deleted my sexist comment out of the episode.
Well, there's a reason. I thought you said to me on this show, like something about how many female listeners do we have? And I thought, well, that's not going to help. So I just went ahead and censored you.
That's fair enough. It wasn't serious anyways, but I was listening. I was like, wait a minute. That's gone.
I thought I said this.
Probably a wide decision.
Matt,
it was an executive decision.
Yeah.
Matt went full social justice warrior on you.
Yeah,
that's right.
He's going to handle
that right out. For me, that's a tough call. I think I would probably kill that devil-looking dude. I can't remember his name. It was in the Prisoner episode.
Okay, yep.
He was a prick. I'd kill that guy.
The one that
Fuck
kept
him
getting
up.
doors slammed on him and shit?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think how I would do it, though. I think you'd have to, like, behead him. I don't know how else you kill that guy.
I think that would do it.
Yeah, I think you have to chop his head off.
Yeah.
You could go
that's how I would do it.
full Vlad the Impaler, like stick a fucking spike in his ass and make him sit on it, and then it slowly...
I think that would just
That's
anger
like
him.
that.
Too much, I think.
Yeah, that might.
The devil in him be like, I've been here before.
He's the Beskar steel.
Let's move into some news. Maybe people will actually care about this.
Yeah, we have a few items.
Yeah, we
do. So the first one, and this, I saw this article come through last week, and it's titled 10 Ways 2020 Changed Star Wars Canon, Past, Present, and Future. And they were, the main point of the story being that like this was one of the biggest years, if not the biggest year for Star Wars because of all the stuff they've done and changed and included, etc. And there are, because there's so many of them, I just thought I would call out a few.
Okay.
So the first one, and we don't need to get into this too deeply because we really haven't gotten there as viewers yet, but they talk about the Siege of Mandalore. Because I guess this has a lot of information in it that's really useful for all our other series, especially The Mandalorian. And so it's all that happens in season 7 of the Clone Wars. And just as a note, you mentioned earlier kind of what we're going to be doing going forward. We're going to start going through the Clone Wars series, starting with our next episode. We're gonna do like every other week since there's no live show going on right now.
Right.
We're gonna go every other week, and we're gonna do a kind of a season look back at each season of the Clone Wars each week, and so every other week. So because of that, I think that we will get to the Siege of Mandalore, and this will mean more to us. But for now, I just wanted to mention it because they called it out as number 1.
So we're taking a week off, correct? We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll be covering season 1 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that'll be our main focus every other week is just doing a season and going through. So that's like Jay mentioned, please watch along with us. If you got questions or you have thoughts as you go, you'll be right in line with what we're doing. And you know, I've seen bits of it. Jay's seen some of it, and Cole's just getting into it now. So so we're all kind of coming at it from a new perspective.
Yeah. Watch it with us.
Yeah, perfect time for you guys to email the show if you want to have any questions answered, or if you find something that maybe we can try to find an answer or give you a perspective on. Our speculation's always fun too, like scenarios and whatnot, lineages.
I feel like we have a lot of speculation that we haven't done yet.
Well, we speculate a lot on our DM conversations, and I never remember if that's just there or if it's on the show. Half the time I have trouble remembering where we're talking about.
I think we left off with our maybe we did a little bit of speculation on our. No, that was last episode was our gallery episode, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've sort of talked a little bit about like what we think is going to happen in season 3, but not really, and we'll do that a little bit more later in the show. But
correct.
Yeah,
we should get another DM going of speculation points that need to be just show only.
We can
so we can categorize.
This is what we need to talk about.
So
we've already talked about it.
Every time we speculate and you want something, maybe we should put it on the show. Put it into the speculation. Maybe show.
That'll be our 4th DM for the show.
Yes, we have the chatter one, which is the regular. We have the rumors, which I guess speculation might fall into the rumors area. But why not create another one? And then we have one with Dave where we talk about sabers and shit.
Right.
So yeah, got a lot of them. The next one that I was going to mention is number 4 is the Fett family history. What was interesting about this was obviously Boba revealing on whatever chapter that was when he came on and was talking to the Mandalorian and showing his chain code and was getting into kind of that, essentially his dad. He was revealing that his dad was a foundling that was raised Mandalorian, participated in the Mandalorian Civil Wars. And so all that stuff was really interesting. And one of the things it mentions is, I think it mentions this, or maybe I read this somewhere else, but did Count Dooku know Jango was a Mandalorian when he used his DNA for the clones? Because then when they go to, because knowing that Order 66 is coming, is that useful to have these Mandalorian clones essentially be killing all these Jedi when Order 66 rolls around? I thought that
that's really interesting.
Yeah, they used to be ancient enemies.
They can retcon that anyways.
So,
yeah.
Well,
as of today, he did know. Factoid, by the way. We'll get to that in a little bit.
That's always blows my mind too. Is like when I think of all those people inside the clone armor, and it's all those people inside the armor. I'm just like God dang, that's Boba Fett's dad. That's
right.
Jango. It's basically just Jango, and it's basically Boba Fett too, because he was a clone that was
correct,
not conditioned or not went through the process, right?
Right.
So he got to keep his own little special project, which ended up being Boba Fett. But it just blows my mind. So like whenever Boba Fett smokes a stormtrooper, it's like
I just killed my
killing
brother.
himself.
Just kill a little piece of myself dies every time I blast a stormtrooper.
That's why he's so disgruntled. Although I would say he didn't really have a hard time. Although I'm guessing in the Mandalorian episodes, those are just they're not all hymns anymore, because he doesn't really have a hard time crushing heads, blowing helmets apart. So
no, he smokes those fools.
Maybe he should write a song about it. You know.
Oh boy! It's starting early.
I killed myself today.
Wait for the gripes.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll hold it in.
The next one was that it's all connected. That was number 8, and essentially just talking about how the Mandalorian took the lead of Solo using Darth Maul and Rogue One using Saw Gerrera to take these tie-ins to things that were in the prequels or animated series, and even more so now with the books. I mean, the fact that they pulled Cobb Vanth into this and all that kind of stuff, it just essentially opened the floodgates, which is what we've talked about, for them to do anything, to pull from any resource. Because why just start from scratch and create all these brand new characters, which is still useful to do, but you also have this pool of stuff you can pull from that some people are familiar with that already have established arcs of some degree. And so I just think that's a great idea.
I was reading there was a I guess speculation on the interwebs the other day where they were filling in the pieces for everything that's happened in Mandalorian, that actually a lot of what happens in Heir to the Empire, Timothy Zahn's series, can be a series. Like they could go forward and make like Luke, like a lot of that could be kind of retconned into a series to exist. I kind of like that idea. I'd love to see that done. I like, there's part of me that's like, we're not going to see any more of Luke. But I was also like, we're not going to see Luke. And
yeah, right.
Favaloni's like, yes, you are. So.
Well, and I mean, they don't have to do full on, like, pull the exact series of events from a book. They can just grab, pick and choose these little elements. So even if it's just was one character that wasn't a major character, and that's what they do so well. So I just love that they're handling it that way.
After watching Rebels and having previously seen Rogue One, I really didn't appreciate Forrest Whitaker's acting and like persona for that role until I saw like him played on Rebels. I was like, holy shit, Forrest Whitaker really slam dunked this, because he annoyed the shit out of me with his breathing mask and his raspy voice and his like all this little like quirks. I'm like, what is this guy's problem? Like when I first seen him.
You see a younger version of him in the Clone Wars as well, right?
You do, yes. And this is where I'm not as versed in his character from Clone Wars. I've just seen bits and pieces. But yes, he's in that series quite a bit, I think.
Well, Forrest Whitaker nailed the Saw Gerrera from Rebels because it was like uncanny. Like I'm like, man, he like. I thought like for a second I went and looked it up. Who voiced Saw Gerrera? And it wasn't Forrest Whitaker.
Okay.
It was Andrew Kashino. But it was like an amazing performance at the end of the day.
Well, and the timing too. I mean, there is some crossover there where Rogue One was being made and Rebels was being made.
Yes,
they're in the same rough timeline of when in real time, like 2015, whatever that year was.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
You mentioned Luke. The Return of the Jedi is number 9, and it's the fact that they actually brought back Mark Hamill from a certain point of view, Mark Hamill, to be in the finale. And I was thinking about that. How do you think it would have affected you differently if it was an actor playing Luke that looked a lot like Luke, but it didn't have the Hamill involvement? Like, do you think it would have been less emotional, or do you think? I'm grappling with that because I don't know how I would feel if it was the other way. Even though I thought, boy, they could have easily gone that way.
I would have gone if they would have went with Sebastian Stan or whatever. Like just looking at him and then like I imagine him as Luke and seeing him and like just seeing his like his what the fuck,
the uncanny resemblance,
the face thing, the actors,
CGI.
No, the face thing that the actors portray or put up for like a headshot. Jesus Christ.
Oh, okay.
Thank the maker. Seeing his headshot just like on Wikipedia and all that, I would have gone apeshit if I would have seen him playing Luke, but it not like I'm like that looks so much like Luke Skywalker,
right.
A young Luke Skywalker, that it would have just. I think it would have just pulled it off.
I think I was already emotional by the time it was just like a bonus that it was actually him that played it. Because I was in doubt the whole time, even though I knew it was Luke. I knew it was you see the green saber, you see the glove, you see the hand, finally the face comes off. You're just like, every time you're like, Jesus, they're doing it all. So I was already bought and sold by the time he'd whooped all their asses. Like it could have been, I don't know, could have been Ray under that thing by then. I was like, hey, look, it's Luke.
Well, did you see the video that Hamill tweeted out that it was all those fan reactions?
Yes.
I thought that was so cool because I watched through it all and it was like, a lot of that looks familiar because you just see people the moment they have this realization. No, is that him?
Yeah.
Is that him? And they're just like talking to each other. Is that him? Pretty cool.
He's just, hey, look how much everybody loves me. And he just retweets it.
Well, he's really grateful for the whole thing. His tweet when he retweeted that, and then even Ming-Na, Fennec Shan, she tweeted like a thing to him saying, she's a huge fan. I've talked about that before. So like, he responded to her. Like, it's cool to see like these people.
Well, he said he was done after episode 8, right? He said he was done with all things
after
Star
9.
Wars.
Yes, he did. Yeah. But it's cool to see the newer cast members of The Mandalorian kind of communicate via social medias when I don't think you saw much of that between the 6 or 7, 8, and 9 people, right? Like,
no, I don't recall that.
Unless you want to count Oscar Isaac and Pedro Pascal hanging out for New Year's Eve.
That was pretty cool.
Do you think he'll make an actual return other than like his CGI likeness or whatever? Do you think he'll make any sort of return or bring it back, go back on his word? Like now he's like, oh, the cool kids are all doing Star Wars
I think he
again.
fucking would love to, but like he's in his mid-60s. I think that...
Nah, no one acts into their 60s.
Well, no, I just think it would cost a fortune. Unless they bring him back every once in a while.
Cost a fortune? Like why?
CGI?
Well, the only thing I could see him doing is if it was another, ghost situation, forced ghost
Right, that's like-
situation.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
maybe
referring
a
to.
cameo like that. Yeah, that would be the
Yeah,
maximum
yeah.
I would see. But you're right. Everything I've ever heard about him and seen about him, he is like the most fan-friendly, approachable person in the world when it comes to this stuff. He eats it up and loves it. So I mean, I had a buddy who took a picture with him, and he just like the people around Hamill were like, no, he's got to go somewhere. And my buddy just like jumped in and was like, hey, picture. And he grabbed my buddy and was just like, yep, picture, took the
That's
picture
cool.
with him. So
That's cool.
he's really outgoing and totally on board with all that stuff. It's cool. The last thing, which is the Investor Day announcements, which we've covered obviously at length, but like thinking back on it, when I was reading through this thing, I was still, when I stop and think about it, I'm so blown away by the sheer volume of what they're putting out in the next 2 to 3 years. When you look at all those series, it's just fucking unreal what we're getting.
I can't believe Disney's not going the extra mile and being like, you know what? If you want all this Star Wars stuff, you got a $3.99 more a month for Disney Plus.
Right. Well, maybe they will. They may. This may be the hook they got you, but once they actually start putting out regular stuff a little bit more often, because they don't have. I mean, they do have a lot on there, but it's not anywhere near like what Netflix has as far as total content yet. But once they start putting out regular series that are dropping all the time, I bet you they're going to up their rates.
Yeah, and if you say that's what we need, another streaming app, a Star Wars streaming app.
Right.
So Disney will be like, okay, if you want the Star Wars add-on, it's $3.99 a month, and then watch Disney Plus just die. Like nothing keeping it up.
Joking wise, I could see them doing. They love the money, but I think that the reason this app is working so well is because you're right. Like they don't have they do have the library that, I mean, they have what 75 years of stuff that's on Disney. But I mean, Netflix just pours it in
but
every
new
month. They
content,
probably, but the IP, the content, like the everything you're familiar with. That's why Disney's killing it right now.
Yeah, for sure. So that was it for that. The next one was the Patty Jenkins. Is Patty Jenkins? Why does that sound weird? That's right?
Leroy
Okay.
Jenkins.
Sounded weird for some reason. Anyway, she did an interview with Collider, and she basically was asked what went wrong with Wonder Woman 84. No, I'm just kidding. I know you guys are going to cover that, I'm sure, a little bit more on 7 Days a Geek.
I think it'll be
really
discussed.
Struggled with that one. It made you a little nervous about what's going to come with Rogue Squadron, didn't it?
Yep.
That's the first thing you said.
Yep.
Yeah, you're like, now I'm worried about Rogue Squadron.
Did you like the first one, though? The first Wonder Woman? I liked the first one.
I loved the first one. Yeah.
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 So I think
we'll
maybe
discuss
maybe it's a fluke.
my differences in between. There's a certain person's involvement that some will say he doesn't deserve all the credit, and obviously I think he deserves more credit than he got because he wasn't involved in the second one. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. She's got a lot on her plate right now. So they've already said they're going to do Wonder Woman 3. She's working on Cleopatra with Gal Gadot as well. And then of course Rogue Squadron, which is, coming out in almost 3 years. But it's interesting. She talked about how they basically have finished the treatment, and she was saying that since the treatment's basically done, it means the screenplay is essentially there.
Right.
Although I'm sure they're going to fucking fine tune it and tweak it and all that kind of stuff. She also mentioned a co-writer, but she won't say who it is. And I was like, be one of the cast-ins. Be one of the cast-ins.
Right. That'd be amazing.
She said it was a guy. She didn't say anything else. She said, I'll reveal that later, so it's more of like a thing for them. But she did say she's co-writing it with someone else.
Jeff Johns has written with her a couple of times, and he was on I think he had screenwriting credit on both the Wonder Womans, but he's so busy with DC, I can't imagine he also went and wrote a Star Wars script as well. But I wouldn't be surprised either.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Did we ever decide? There wasn't a lot in the interview. She just kind of made a couple of references to the treatment. But did we ever decide exactly when this is taking place? Because I've seen them say it's after Episode 9, but they've not said like how far after Episode 9.
From what I keep hearing, rumors and people speculating, everything is after Episode 9.
Okay.
Yeah. So Disney's they got a lot of balls for jumping around the timelines.
Yes.
Cole,
for
you
sure.
gonna be all right?
I don't know. As long as someone doesn't travel through time, I should
We
be
need a
able to
poster on your wall or something that's got it all breaking.
I'm gonna need a
down.
timeline. I was watching.
I'm gonna get you a tattoo. Just look at your forearm.
It's like Memento.
Yeah.
Just keep me in check. QR code that I scan it with my phone. I can pulls up a timeline.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty good idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah, is there like an okay Wikipedia? Okay, Wikipedia. When does this take place?
There you go.
Help me, I'm lost. Okay, I see
Yeah.
you've been watching Rogue Squadrons. How can I help?
So this last article is bananas, and it's from a source that I have no idea how much to take it with a grain of salt or what. But they brought up some interesting rumors, which I thought we could discuss. And did you say that Grant also sent you this?
He did, and I just looked at the website, and it was like, to me, it was the same thing as when I see people on Facebook arguing over some political thing, and you look at the website, and it's never had a news article in its life, and I'm just like, yeah, not reading this.
PiratesandPrincesses.net.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting because of the fact of what they bring up.
Okay.
And so we can totally shit on it, but I just thought it was interesting what they mentioned. So they mention that essentially there's Team Favloni and then there's Team Kathleen Kennedy. And that like Bob Iger is backing Favloni versus Kennedy, and how he really likes the angle they're taking, which of course is like a nod back to Lucas, pumping up those original trilogy and prequel characters instead of kind of moving on from them, and really embracing all of that kind of stuff. And then also the fact that they're using what we've talked about, that kind of that MCU blueprint of all that crossover action. So the feud though, I don't know how much that's legit. That seems a bit off.
I don't know. Everyone's always trying to say everyone is fighting with Kennedy. I just like, I mean, she hired the two of, I mean, she's the head of Lucasfilm. If anyone's going to go, I mean, she is the one that keeps firing everybody. Actually, with people talking shit about Wonder Woman, I wouldn't be surprised if she's like, Patty Jenkins, you're gone. So who knows what she's going to do? But like, I've never heard anything. Like everyone's always like, oh, Pedro Pascal's unhappy in the helmet. And like everyone's got this stupid speculation, but I don't know. Everyone's, well, hell, the first 3 years she was on the job, they're like, oh, she's getting fired. And then when they talked about she signed for another 3 years, everyone's like, oh, well, no, I don't know. I don't know what to think.
It seems all over the board. And the other thing is, too, that if I'm wrong, I'm not sure if I'm wrong here, but isn't Filoni still technically like the head of all Lucasfilm animation? Like, isn't that kind of one of his major roles? So the fact that he'd be at odds with her, it just doesn't seem like it matches up to me.
Right. I mean, yeah, he's been working with her for, a decade now? So it does seem a little strange.
Right. But it also mentioned a couple other interesting tidbits, which I thought were fun. It suggests that the crossover event of all four of those series is going to be the battle against Thrawn, which, of course, easily could be what it is. You know, we've talked about what is that going to be and how they're going to do it. Is it going to be its own little one-off event or some sort of short series or whatever? But that makes the most sense. I mean, he's a great villain. It'd be good to have him in there. It mentions them wanting, I'm talking about Favloni, wanting to do another trilogy that follows the sequel trilogy and focuses on Grogu at an older age.
Oh, wow.
Could you see that?
You know what? I would not be surprised. I do see that, but I think it's going to be like 5 or 6 years. I don't know if they can handle 4 series and then go off and shoot a film as well.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so, but I would not be surprised to see the two of them go off and do a trilogy as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing is it mentions, well, the kind of the beef of the article really, I guess, is that it's talking about Galaxy's Edge and how the original plan, essentially what they're saying, again, this is all from this crazy article, but they said the original plan was to include all eras of Star Wars when they did Galaxy's Edge, but Kathleen Kennedy really wanted to focus on the sequel trilogy to kind of support the latest content.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, have you heard that before?
Well, I know that was the intention just because that's what was in everyone's mindset. And it's gone back and forth because if you look back, like when they were doing the Star Wars story movies, which was Solo and Rogue One, but when Solo bombed, they came, I can't remember if it was Kennedy or if it was Iger, but they came out and said, dude, we're going to back away from the Skywalker saga.
Iger said it.
Remember that? And we're going to move forward. But then this hit, so now all of a sudden they're not moving forward. Like everything is still taking place in this timeline we're so familiar with. And out of everything announced, there's the one that's supposedly taking place after Episode 9. So I don't know. To me, it would make sense for them to play around, or even like, I mean, obviously that Batu, we've never seen it in live action. We've never seen anything yet. So they could be like, you know what, this year it's going to be this year, because they get return customers to go there and be like, oh, this is the Return of the Jedi year they're doing it, right? So like you could run into Luke or whoever, you know, so they could, the Mandalorian, like they can change it up a little bit. I know that they're saying that they're going to get rid of it completely and go back to, and it would make sense, but I don't like, everyone's argument is the 3 movies sucked. Disney put too much money into them, and Disney made a shit ton of money on them. They're not going to ignore them. I'd be really surprised if it just like they came out and be like, yeah, we're rebooting Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and it's going to take place during the Mandalorian time. That's it. Boom.
Or, I mean, do an expansion. I don't know, not an expansion, but like, I don't know, like share the stage. You can't just discount 7, 8, and 9,
right.
You know, just because no one liked them. Or, I mean, you can kind of discount 1, 2, and 3, I think. But I don't know. I like 7, 8, and 9. I know everyone gives them a rash of shit, but so what? Throw them all in there. Let them all intermingle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, people's heads aren't going to explode if they see Rey and Grogu in the same area together. I mean, it's not.
You kidding me?
I'm sorry. Did I hurt your feelings?
No, I'm saying people's heads would explode.
They would. And that's one of the things I think it mentions in this story too, is just like include more characters. You know, right now when you go there, it's Chewie, it's Rey, it's Kylo, it's, you know, First Order troopers. But you could include so much more if you wanted to. You don't have to completely overhaul the thing and make it, this is all Mandalorian now. Yeah. So it's going to only be Mandalorian characters. I think you could include it all, and I think people would just totally eat that shit up. It's so funny. One, you said it's funny because you said Solo bombed, $450 million bomb.
I know. Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yep.
But it seems like there's, you know, some of the stuff you read on Twitter, and Star Wars Twitter is talk about a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah.
But like people's talking about, you know, wanting to like wipe the sequel trilogy off the face of the earth. Just be like, it never happened. It's not, you know, let's just redo it or act like it never happened.
Wasn't there an online petition?
Yes.
Trying to get Disney to redo it?
Yeah, which is so funny because it's like, you mean the trilogy that made like $4 billion or whatever it made, more than that? And the people did the same thing with the prequels. And I mean, hey, I especially back in the day, a lot of beef with the prequels. Mm-hmm. I have grown to appreciate parts of them. So I still don't, as a whole, they're not my favorite, but there's pieces of every one of those movies that I enjoy. And but people just want to throw it all out.
Look at how much content is still coming out of that era of movies.
Totally. Yeah. Anyway, that was it. That was just, I thought even though it could be considered just trash that we shouldn't consider and read, I read it and thought, well, there's some interesting tidbits in here. So I wanted to throw them out there.
Shout out to pirates and princesses.
We hope you win the Darksaber.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this. Let's geek out a little bit about the Mandalorian season 2. Let's look back.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to mention real quick, but let's go back to the news real quick. 2 things. Your vision became a reality. I sent it in our chat room. The Leonardo DiCaprio thing. Did you see that? You made no comment to it. I was like,
well, I did see it, but I'm always overwhelmed when I'm reading my Twitter for some reason. I'm always like, it's the last thing I check. So you're just going down the stream and you saw it, but I just thought it was so funny. I was like, oh my God, who's listening to the show now? And then we have to put it out there that Darth Mathias is not allowed to fly X-Wing. All right.
So my stepdad got for my kids a little drone X-Wing. And it's one of those where it's like, I think maybe he bought this like a year ago and forgot to send it to him last year. So he sent it to him this year. I don't know, because I don't know if it's new. But either way, I'm thinking, okay, well, let's see how well this is going to work. I guess they have a Millennium Falcon one too, which apparently is supposed to work better because it can rise up. This one just goes straight ahead. So you kind of have to toss it and then, you know, jam on the thing. But the thing always veers one way or the other, and it doesn't last very long. And so I took a slow motion video of it coming from out of frame and into frame, and then
I know it looks
banking hard
massive
left
too. When it flies into frame, big. I'm like, oh, how big is this thing?
And then it just takes a detour to the left and smashes into our mailbox.
Yep.
I'll share that out on the Twitter feed.
Okay, now we're done with the news. Let's go into the look back.
Thanks for bringing us back.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, Matt will throw in some sound effects.
I will. No, but I thought, I mean, we've obviously covered this so, you know, at length, but I thought it would be cool to look back now as a
whole season. Yeah.
Yeah, to say kind of what were our favorite bits and what do we have gripes with and who are our favorite characters and all that kind of stuff.
Hands down, I think the greatest thing to happen was the fact that the crate meat became something.
Right away, episode 1.
Plot point.
We camped. Yeah, we camped on that for sure. We camped on that Sunday,
The
but
fact that you giggled about it.
we got resolution.
Like,
That's
you
all we
fucking
need.
idiot. The next week, I'm like jumping. Yes.
Oh, it speaks to something being wrong with me that I couldn't let it pass. That you're like, well, we got to figure out what's going on Tatooine because he's got that thing. He's got that crate meat, and he doesn't even have a cooler.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, watch that entire episode. That's what hung you up. That's gonna go down.
I guarantee you, they won't pick up with that. You said
in my face. Yep. I apparently I need to quit the show because that was right in my face.
Dave's ears just started ringing.
All the show quitting threats.
Yep.
It's just a common theme here.
We're gone. We're gone.
That was so 2020. We're past that now, guys. We're all in this thing for the long haul. We're not going anywhere.
That's right.
I'm a mess without you guys. I gotta say it. I'm the first one to say it. I miss your scent.
I can't.
I miss when you're around.
Yeah.
When this is all over, we got to get an apartment together.
Oh, we're gonna go episode 100. We're getting a hotel room together, so we'll
Right
see how
around the
that
corner.
goes. Yeah.
Sounds good.
No, but I was wondering, like, what was your guy? If you had to pick one episode, what was your favorite episode of season 2?
I say we got to discount the finale right off the bat because it's so good.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
discounting the finale, the Boba Fett return was my absolute hands down favorite. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers scenes and the communing with Heavens, Baby Yoda.
I agree. I think overall, the impact that we've seen that's going to have, especially with the Book of Boba Fett coming out, and we're finally getting something that we've been waiting for years. So I love that idea. But I think the Ahsoka episode was shot beautifully. It just looked good, and there's so many things. There's little, where's Thrawn? We're like, so we have things coming from that as well. So those are like it's a toss up between the two of those for me. I loved them both. I've watched them both probably 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I think I would nod toward Ahsoka. Just like you said, it was shot differently than all the other episodes. It had that samurai vibe. I really liked the reveal of her character right out of the gate. It kind of gave me chills.
Right.
I loved the duels, if you will, the her fighting Morgan Elsbeth and him fighting or kind of squaring off with Michael Biehn.
Yeah.
I just love that whole sequence, and so I would say that has a slight edge for me as Ahsoka. I actually really enjoyed the Bo-Katan episode as well, just because it was seeing another character come out of animation. I thought it was cool to see all the night owls, and I just think that Bryce Dallas Howard does awesome work, and it was a great episode.
Yeah, those are probably the best 3. Like those were like one right after another too, and that picked up later on. The second half of this entire season was just like action packed. And you get to see so much cool stuff and learn so much cool stuff and see other Mandalorians and everyone I've talked to.
Episode's so good too, though.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to though is it's either the Ahsoka Katan. Jeez,
Ashoka.
I'm sorry,
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Tano.
Now I've lost my train of thought. It's either that episode or the Return of Boba Fett episode that everyone seems to be really pumped and geeked up about.
It was like a 1-2 punch.
I'm still trying to figure out whether I like Boba Fett more in his armor or without it. Badass, looking like a knight's or an old school like monk with the shaved head and the cowl and all that stuff with a
how about Boba Fett in old armor or shiny new?
Oh, way better in the shiny new stuff. Yeah, it looks way better. And he didn't look like it didn't fit him as much when he got it cleaned up.
The color brought it out.
Bursting at the seams.
Yeah, there was a moment of like, oh shit, when he shows up at first with that armor back on.
Yes.
That I really loved.
That shot, man, where that stormtrooper's just like, and they even show when he shot it with his kid, and it's just exactly. I'm like, oh, it gives me chills. I love that fucking shot.
Well, I think I was so caught up in it when he looked over at the Razor Crest. Obviously, of course, he was looking over there thinking my armor's in there. But the first time I watched it, I didn't even think about that. And all of a sudden he was in it. I was like, oh shit. I was so wrapped up in what was going on that I wasn't thinking ahead. And when I saw that, I was like, holy fuck, he's in the armor.
That's still, I am still a little, if we're talking favorite moments. Well, I'll wait till biggest gripes. We'll carry on.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. We know you have a few of them.
Not a few, just certain things have triggered me this season.
So favorite moments in the show.
I mean, Luke's arrival and not the unveiling of his face, but him making his way through the light cruiser, him showing up in the X-wing and that my fucking pulse racing.
It was a
thinking,
flawless
is it him?
execution.
Is it him? And the music was so good. That was the moment of the season for me. And then it led up to, of course, that goodbye scene, which was making the room awfully dusty.
Sure was.
The storm, the dark trooper crushing with his force powers. It's just like that got me.
Crumples them.
That got me to my feet. I don't know. I think I was eating. While I was watching, I was eating like my meal, and then I stopped, and I had like chicken salad dripping down my chin. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I stood up.
I wonder who it is.
But there's, that was. I still couldn't.
Wait a minute, he's a Jedi?
I'm the worst Star Wars fan ever. God, I wonder who that is. There's a glove on his hand.
You're like a newborn babe watching this series. It's great.
I was like R2. My memory banks were erased,
Okay.
and I just like, what is going on? Like, I wish my son would have been there, like watching it with me, because he would have like snapped me out of it. Who is that, Dad? Not like, that's Luke, bro.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
I would
you
have
needed someone else to.
I'd have explained it to him, but basically, I needed my dad there to.
My son
explain
thought
it
I
to
was nuts. He didn't talk to me for a week.
I loved your explanation, or when you were recapping that about how you were just going, they're not fucking doing this, and your son's like, what is going on, Dad? Like
He was on the couch next to me. He was like at first he's playing his game and he's looking over at me, and then he stops and he's like, as I'm getting more like animated and standing up, and he's like, what? And he's looking at the TV like he doesn't know what's going on with me.
Finally, Daddy's not ignoring me.
Yeah.
I also really liked the Boba Fett kill mode in Chapter 14, like we just talked about, was fucking awesome. Just to see him do all that stuff, and then also the wrap up after the post finale credits, watching him walk into to Jabba's palace was pretty sweet.
I think seeing a crate dragon for the first time, just seeing how fucking enormous that thing was, man, and like just that whole scene where they're trying to feed him, and he comes climbing out of the sand. Nope, we're gonna eat you too. And like, no matter what they did, bombs are going off. He just keeps getting bigger. Ends up on top of that mountain, and they go flying up there. It was such a superhero episode.
Yeah, it was.
One of my favorite too that we kind of glossed over. Bill Burr shooting first, basically, like pulling the Han versus Greedo thing. But like when he sits down in the chair and like he's just got that smug look on his face, and he's like, "Oh, really?" Just like going back and forth with this guy, and at that moment that he's just gonna kill him. Like he's gonna. We've talked about that. Yeah. But the tension just builds and builds and builds, and finally he just fucking slaps leather and fucking smokes that guy.
Yep.
That's pretty good scene.
Yeah, that was on my list too. That's a fucking fantastic scene.
Favorite moment.
Grogu gets a name.
Mm-hmm.
I like how the whole thing was shot, and really not even like it wasn't told story wise for us to be like, here it comes, or did you hear that? It was just like, she tells the story and blah blah blah, and wait a minute, did I just hear he's got a name? Like I thought it was great writing the way they did that whole scene.
Yeah, I went back and forth a lot on that name. I don't know what name would have pleased me, but I was trying to get used to it.
Grew on me now.
Well, I think what helped too was the scene where where Mando's sitting in the cockpit with him going, Grogu, and he's like, huh?
Yeah.
And he's like getting a kick out of it. That kind of helped the name grow on me. But yeah, I still to this day go back and forth. I call him Baby Yoda almost most of the time anyway. But yes, it was a big moment.
It's hard not to say that still. Baby Yoda.
Well, what do you guys like better? Season 1 Mando or Season 2 Mando? Season 1 where he's cold, callous, killer, hunter, mission only, or I've got a toddler and I'm a daddy now, Mando, who's becoming more human and in touch with his.
I like
just
the
whipping his
character
fucking
growth
helmet
with
off.
Mando this year.
Left
I
and
really
right.
do. Yeah.
You like that one better?
Yeah, I do.
I think I would agree. However, I'm excited to see some of that, a dose of that Mando 1 when we get into Season 3 speculation. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that come back.
Oh yeah,
even though he's changed, I think he's going to be in a
Do you think Boba is going to be more like Mando 1 or Mando 2 in the series that he's going to be in?
1.
The Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, like he's.
You saw a little. Do you think that was all just code?
Times more than what Mando was in Season 1.
Well, he kind of he could have bailed out on Baby Yoda on the whole Baby Yoda retrieval thing, but he
Well, he's got a code, sure.
All right.
That's
the code. Do you think it was all code, or do you think it was him kind of being like? It's a bit of a code technicality, I think.
Yeah.
He showed a little compassion there.
To me, he seemed like that's total soldier's code or something, like soldier's honor. Like I've made this commitment to you and I'm going to see it through, versus really loving the baby.
Yeah, because they never really had either Fennec or Boba didn't have that shot where oh, Grogu's so cute. Like, you didn't
Right.
get that from them. So, I think it was all code. Because, I mean, fucking
so.
Boba was out of there the second they went into the belly of the beast. He's like, peace.
True.
He's like, I did my part.
Yep. Yeah.
What about we've kind of alluded to this. I was the favorite characters or reveals. And so that could mean one of the characters and who you were excited to see show up, or how they revealed them in general. Do you guys have a favorite?
I think the biggest one for me that we haven't spoke about really is Mayfeld. Like, that whole episode, like, we knew Bill Burr was coming back. We had a really good idea. He shows up on screen. I like the character, but I mean the drastic change from season 1 to season 2 and the development they give him, and man, like he said, like that scene in the cafeteria, boy, he acts his ass off. Like, Bill Burr's got some chops, man.
Yeah.
He can't run a rooftop to save his life, but
Well, I mean, it's hard to argue against, of course, Ahsoka and Bo-Katan and Boba and all them.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought the introduction of Cobb Vanth was really cool.
Yes.
I really liked him as a character. And for them to lead off with that so early, which we joked about at the time, was so funny because they're like, I don't know. People are like speculating going into the season. I don't know if we're even going to see Cobb Vanth. Like, boom, right away.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm Cobb
But
Vanth.
I hope they use him more. I assume they will, but because why not? But I really liked the addition of his character.
Yeah, maybe we'll see him show up in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's certainly possible.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I liked Koska Reeves because I think that she does a good job as like this overzealous badass that basically Bo-Katan, has constantly have to like rein her in, like, easy there.
Yeah, yeah.
And she just wants to fuck people up.
Hold her
I
on
love
her
that.
leash.
She's Lenny.
I mean, there wasn't a weak point in this. Like, Toro Calican, you couldn't stand. Like, there wasn't a character this year where it just didn't work.
Wow. Frog Lady.
Frog Lady.
For Cole.
Okay, Frog Lady. Yeah.
Cole struggled with Frog Lady.
Yeah.
Biggest gripes.
She was there.
Leading right into the biggest
Okay,
gripes.
so
It's Frog Lady.
what was your problem?
That species or that character can just take a hike out of my Star Wars universe because it's
Could they hop out of your Star Wars
like
universe?
a hike, like a Battletoad.
Oh, okay.
Just get right out of there. I don't know. I don't know. There's more problems than they're worth. Like, they didn't care.
What
for
was
them.
the bigger gripe for you? Is it actors playing their guitars on set, or is it the
Oh, we get it, Robert Rodriguez. You can play the guitar. I mean, bring this everywhere and punish everyone with my terrible music. I don't know. Whatever.
Also, Rodriguez is bad at guitar now.
I don't care. Like, it's just so pretentious. I thought. Like,
So
just
you're on
bringing
set,
it
you're
on
setting up
set.
a shot. You got to wait a while for the lights and everyone to get ready
Why
for
don't you
the
punish
scene.
everyone around
Why
you
can't-
to make them listen to you as you struggle through some chords and learn how to play the guitar?
Rodriguez is playing guitar, before he's been filmmaking.
Maybe he's good. I don't know.
He plays the music in his movies.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then what's his name?
Oh, you're
Tempura.
going to turn on to Boba Fett now?
The fried tempura.
If you watch, there's scenes that they were showing on Twitter comparing, like, I like to have fun on set, or no, it was for his birthday, and they were showing when he was in episode 2, and he's walking around with like a color umbrella. He's like doing all this shit on set. He's fucking around talking to George, and I'm like, oh, see, he's playful all the time. You never would have hired him for the Mandalorian, would you?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have those choices to make in my
Get
life.
that guy off my set.
he would have hired him and then fired him.
Yeah.
I tell you what,
Get outta here.
if Robert Rodriguez comes on our show and defends himself, I'll stand down. I'll stand down.
I'm not sure who you're attacking.
But stand
yet.
by.
Samir
I will
Morrison
stand by.
or Robert Rodriguez?
I don't know. The guitar thing on that particular day got me in the. It just got in my
Robert
craw.
Rodriguez was playing and
I didn't know he
Grogu
was
jamming.
I didn't know he was a professional guitar
And
player.
then-
Wasn't he in Dust Till Dawn too? Was he integral in that?
He directed it.
Directed.
He wrote and directed.
Did he play the music in that?
I'm
too?
sorry. Did Tarantino write From Dusk Till Dawn? Robert
thought he wrote
Rodriguez
it.
directed it. Yeah, but he wrote and directed Desperado.
I like that one.
Yeah, and the sequel. Once
The
Upon a Time in
Mariachi.
Mexico.
Oh,
El
okay.
Mariachi was
El
the first
Mariachi,
one.
yeah.
That was the one he made for $7,000 by filling condoms with ketchup and using those to slap and blow up.
I don't know how we got here, but I'm glad we did.
Sorry. Told you I'm a Robert Rodriguez fan.
Keep your guitars in your bag, in your whatever your case is. Neighbor Cole has no time for it.
No. I was trying to think about what gripes I could throw in there because there's not a ton, but I really think that the Mandalorian needs a masterclass in negotiation still, but maybe he'll get better in season 3.
He's
Well, now
keeping
he's
that
got time.
He's keeping the flamethrower well maintained. So
Wouldn't that be
I'm
funny
on
if
the
season
flamethrower
3
watch.
opened up where he's like in some negotiations, like dispute or something, And the character's like, no, this is how you do it.
Let me show you.
they
I feel
look
like
at the
Cobb would do
camera.
better. Well, no, because Cobb didn't do very well either. He was not the best negotiator. They
Well,
kind
he-
of deserve each other.
He was pretty funny, though. 'Cause he's like, hold on a minute. When they hear the noise, they're
Yeah,
ready
I
to
love
shoot
that.
each other.
We could get Palpatine before he went into the Emperor mode to teach him how to like
There you go.
manipulate a
Exactly.
Senate,
Right.
sit him down.
Yeah, and the other thing I thought of was early on.
Hold on, I just had this thought that when Mando gets a new ship, he's flying around, he's listening to Palpatine on tape.
As he goes to sleep at night,
Yeah, just learning how to be a master manipulator.
you control the negotiation.
Turn your enemies against you.
No, but I was gonna say that I early on when we had chapter 10, which was the fish lady episode, I was kind of griping a little bit at that just because it was like, God, this didn't really advance the plot or whatever. And then they just fucking motored through everything and smashed me in the face with all that progress in the season. And so it made me think too about, I threw this out to you last week. Did they blow their wad in season 2 by putting so much out there versus a slower build to the resolution of the whole Grogu situation? And I actually put a Twitter poll out there.
Okay.
92% of people said plenty left still in the tank.
Oh yeah.
8% said wad blown.
Wow.
Yeah, it was overwhelmingly in favor of a lot left in the tank. Because when Dave was on the show and he said, now it's kind of a clean slate to do whatever they want,
Yeah.
that immediately changed my perspective on it, because I kept thinking, God, they could have really like maneuvered their way to this result a lot slower and gotten more out of it, but they just really kind of slammed full gas.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because now they can do whatever they want. You're not tethered to the Mandalorian babysitter storyline.
Which is kind of fucking genius if you think about it, because like most people that gripe about something is like they're still doing this Mandalorian babysitter
Right.
thing with Baby
Right.
Yoda. Like 2 seasons is kind of the perfect amount.
That's pretty brave
in
to
my
not
opinion.
milk the Grogu situation.
It is.
I think I give them props for taking
Yeah.
that, and that's one of the questions I had for like what we'd like to see for season 3. How are they going to handle the loss of Grogu? What are they going to do? What direction are they going to go?
I think we've got a lot to go. I mean, we're going to have probably a feud between Mando and Bo-Katan. I mean, he's got the Darksaber. What exactly is homeboy Moff Gideon up to? Because we know there's more at play with him. Does Kara take him back? Is she going to get in trouble for, abandoning her post and going rogue and doing whatever? Like, there's a lot of elements at play. I really think the overarching story for this is the taking Mandalore back.
I would think so. That seems like the most obvious one.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, we've got to resolve this Darksaber ownership situation. And I wasn't even thinking about Moff too. Of course, he's gonna get sprung or something's gonna happen.
Right.
He's gonna get out and still be around as the kind of the bad guy. So it's really interesting to see what they do with the Bo-Katan Mando deal, because they clearly are, allies and have been, but now there's this thing in the way that's going to cause some sort of issue.
After that helmet came off, I bet you she's like, I'm willing to work this out, babe.
Well, I like the idea of so many warring factions on Mandalore. The warring families and everyone, they can't
Yeah.
ever find peace because they've always been at odds with each other. I like
Right.
the idea of maybe they finally get that planet under control. Someone unites them under the Darksaber, be it Mando or be it Bo-Katan. But then, like, there's his whole cult of like Mandalorians that are like loyal to never take your helmet off, never like
Right.
they're the purists or whatever, the perfectionists of the Mandalorian, that hive or sept mentality that they have. And I think it would be kind of cool if they come rolling in and introduce some new blood into the fucking war for Mandalore.
Like as in like they want the.
Were they there the whole time? Like, were they part of the siege of Mandalore? Are they like an old family? I always kind of got the impression that they were an outcast group of zealots, right? And that they were the only ones that really held true. So maybe they missed the events of the siege of Mandalore, and maybe they are kind of like maybe this question's been answered and I'm speaking out of my ass. But then they kind of come back and it's like a new blood, like a new war comes in.
Aren't they responsible for trying to kill? Her name escapes me. The one that Obi-Wan's in love with, right?
Bo-Katan's sister,
Yes.
Satine.
Satine.
Yeah, well, so there's a lot going on there, because there's Bo-Katan and the Night Owls were affiliated kind of with that, almost like terrorist type.
Yes, that's what I was
Group.
getting at. Yep.
Fuck, what are they called? The Death Watch.
Death Watch. Yes.
So I don't know how all that will play together. And I mean, this is another one of those things where people right now listening are probably like, hey, dumb shits, when you get through the Clone Wars and especially season 7, you're going to know a lot more. So we'll probably get a little more understanding of where that's going to head by then. But you're right. They have a lot of room to play there with all those different clans and all that kind of stuff.
I think that's where Favreau says it turns into like Game of Thrones.
Oh, that makes sense.
Now you've got all these leaders of these different groups, and now like who really is worthy of the crown, who, a lot of leaders.
What a cool way to take it in a totally different direction. I just love that. I love that they keep you on your toes by doing that. And I also thought, do we see Ahsoka or Grogu or Luke or Boba or any of those people in the next season? And I don't think we will, and I kind of hope we don't.
I agree.
I think it needs to be its own deal.
Like if we see anyone that comes back, I'm good to see like Pelimoto again if he goes to Tatooine. I mean, Jesus Christ, he has to every season, so he's going to. But like, I'm good with seeing Cobb again and Mandalorian.
Well, hey, why not? Why doesn't he go back and visit that pretty lady on Sorgan?
Oh, I was gonna bring that up. That's got to happen, right?
I would hope so.
Because there's like I feel like
I could take my helmet off. Yeah, I could take my helmet off now.
and like we're aware that she's got a history. Like, what's her history, right? So I feel like that could come into play. It's gonna full circle into something else, and yeah. Oh, I was gonna say Mayfield. I want to see him some more. I really want him to. Like if he's gonna keep a team, put together a team, whatever. Like I'm all for that.
You guys wouldn't like to see like Luke, Ahsoka, Grogu come back in like the finale of season 3, like an Avengers Assemble type deal?
I think we're gonna see that when all the series come together.
Right, which is interesting with the timing because, as far as we know, Ahsoka's only one season. We don't know. We don't know how long Book of Boba is going to be. We don't know about the Rangers of the New Republic and how long that's going to be. So how is this all going to come together in this event? Is it meant to be when the Mandalorian's wrapping up? Because we're assuming there's going to be at least a 4th season.
Right.
Or is it happening as just this crossover event and then Mandalorian continues on beyond that? I don't know.
It'll be interesting. Well, can we speculate a little bit on the Book of Boba Fett?
Yes.
I think you had asked me. I must have written it in some notes at one time, but I think it's going to be an anthology series.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, like each episode's a standalone, so they can tell a story in some certain part of the Mandalorian's life, past, present, or future, right? So we can get an idea of where he's been, what happened, where he's going.
There's definitely going to be an episode that tells us something about that Sarlacc.
Oh yeah, could you imagine if they just like, we'll
gloss
save that.
over it.
Yeah. It'll always be the untold story.
Right.
That'll be a pair of balls.
Yeah, it just opens up with him laying on the desert, acid eating his armor, and then like a Jawa poking him. Yeah. Let me have that.
Let me have that armor.
I need water.
I need water.
Yeah, but there's a lot of directions they can go in, and so I just can't wait for it all to get started. It sucks we have to wait a year. Well, I mean, almost a year essentially for the Book of Boba, but it'll give us a lot of stuff to speculate about in the build-up.
We've got a whole year to speculate. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of speculation.
Oh, and I will say to our listeners, if you have thoughts that you want to share with us, send us an email from Allsbag or tweet at us and let us know what your thoughts were, kind of wrapping up season 2, what your big moments were, your favorite moments and all that stuff. Maybe I'll do a couple more Twitter polls, but let us know what you thought.
Yeah, get mauled.
That's right.
All right. You didn't send an email this week, so we're not going to read an email this week. But you, the listener who's listening right now, you're going to send us one next week.
facpapod@gmail.com. Please send us something, and we'd be happy to go over it. Like for instance, one time, a couple episodes ago, maybe, Mike Laybourne, he sent like a bunch of different, kind of philosophical ponder type questions. Those are great. So if you ever have stuff like that you want us to kick around, we're happy to do that. So thanks to Mike for doing that. Really appreciate it and all his support.
Also, he wrote a really nice thing to like all the podcasters that he listens to. So shout out to Mike just for, including us, enjoying the show and saying it's the only Star Wars show worth listening to.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Mike. We didn't pay him or anything.
I know.
He didn't even win the Darksaber.
I paid him, but it was only half, and it was only calamari flan.
Poor bastard.
Nice.
He's terrible at negotiating as well.
The last thing I have here is for our factoid, and I really didn't write anything down, but it was we've talked about it before, those Star Wars Archives books. Mm-hmm. And sometime in the early 80s, those books, there's information in there about how they had talked about doing what Holdo does in episode 8, The Last Jedi, right?
Yep.
where she uses the ship to split the Star Destroyer. And it was just interesting. And he doesn't get enough credit for that. But Rian Johnson, the more I learn about the total nerd that he is about Star Wars and the little tidbits that he put in, I was like, oh, that's not like everyone argues about certain aspects of the Force. Almost everything that he added to it existed one way or another in past iterations, whether it was used or it was in one of the encyclopedias or it was talked about. So like everything he did is canon, I guess, right? But he gets so much shit, and then he takes that little bit and puts it into the movie that I think it was going to be used in Return of the Jedi, right?
I think you're right. I can't remember. But the thing, and I've said it before about Rian Johnson, he's a great filmmaker, and there's a lot that's beautiful about that film and some good moments. It's just he was given the wrong job. Like he would have done so much better with his own trilogy or whatever, his own one-off movie.
Well, he just didn't give us the loop we wanted. That
was a big part of it. Yeah. It just the way he kind of steered it just didn't sit as well with some of us, and so then it was so discombobulated. It just, that whole thing was a mess. And so I don't have like some hate for Rian Johnson, like, oh, you fucked everything up. But it's more like I don't think he got the right job. I think he should have been given his own property to do.
It should have been all J.J. Abrams, start to finish, in my opinion. I think that if he would have had all three of them, I think 9 would have been amazing. 8 would have been even better than 7. And I don't know, 7 hit me right in the feels, like right off the bat. Like I got excited, teary-eyed, goosebumps all over the place. And then 8 was just like, I left the theater liking it, and then watching it again, I'm like, man, this is a mess.
Well, he tried to basically make 8 and 9 in 9. He was trying to jam so much in there. And so I think it was just a kind of a disaster from the start. But I hope Rian Johnson does get to do some Star Wars in the future, because I think he'll do a great job with it. I just think he needs his own thing that he can kind of create a little bit more and not get, fans that are so pent up about certain things are just going to be all over his, tits about it. Oh, and remember that in The Last Jedi, do you remember going into the theater and they had signs up? I think they did in every theater where it said, there's a moment in the film where there's no audio for 20 seconds. There's nothing wrong with the film. Did you guys have that?
Yes.
That was so funny because during the Holdo maneuver, everything goes silent.
Yep.
And everybody, I guess, was complaining like, the fucking sound's off.
Yeah. Yep. I remember that. Yeah. In the entryways.
Fix it, you
You're
assholes!
Right.
Screaming. Oh my God, it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. We will see you in 2 weeks. We're going to discuss season 1 of the Clone Wars. So
watch it. Send us questions. Yep.
Thank you for listening. And until next time,
never tell us the odds.
In our experience, there's no such thing as luck.
And we have spoken.